Hello, it's Desiree coming at you once again, and this week we're going to talk about something that maybe you've never heard about before, and that is nosocomial infections. What? If you're wondering what a nosocomial infection is, a nosocomial infection, say it 3 times and you'll remember it forever. Nosocomial infection is something that you acquire in a hospital. So we do go to the hospital to get better, but sometimes we can pick up some germs while we're there too. And nosocomial infections can be caused by bacteria, viruses, or fungi, but I want to talk about 2 nosocomial infections in particular, Mrsa and C. Diff. And these 2 are really important to talk about because if you caught my talk on antibiotics and antibiotic resistance, well, these little critters are both very antibiotic resistant, which means when you get this infection, it's really hard to get rid of. And for people who are very young or very old, who have compromised immune systems, these infections can cause very severe consequences and sometimes even death. Ooh. So we really want to understand what they are and how we can potentially prevent them. So MRSA is a methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. It's a staph bacteria. And so staph bacteria is like really common on your skin. And it's like no big deal when it's on your skin. But this strain, this particularly hardy, nasty strain, can wind up in a wound, for example, being transmitted that way. It lives for a really long time on surfaces, and it can also be transmitted from person to person, which is how it's so not easy, but commonly picked up in a hospital. Then you have C. diff. We used to call C. diff Clostridium difficile, and we've changed the language a little bit. It's now called Clostridioides difficile. If you are a microbiologist, there's probably a really important reason for this, but as a dietitian, I'm like, new name, same bacteria, slightly different, I don't know, classification, I guess? Yeah, C. diff for short. That's all you have to remember. So C. diff, like MRSA, can live for a long time on surfaces, but it does something that MRSA doesn't. When it's in hostile conditions, it forms a protective coating, essentially called a spore. And this makes it very, very difficult to kill. So it can sort of hunker down and wait for the conditions to be right before it takes over. Hot tip, you can actually carry C. diff in your gut, and it might be there already as part of a normal, healthy microbiome, but the presence of your healthy gut bacteria are what keep it down. We call this an opportunistic pathogen. As long as it doesn't get the opportunity, it can't make you sick. What can give it the opportunity? Well, we know that your risk of C. diff infection goes up if you are a long-term user of proton pump inhibitors, which are those medications that many people take for chronic reflux. Important to know. People with the inflammatory bowel diseases may also be at increased risk for C. diff infection. It's not uncommon in that population. However, a big contributor to C. diff infection is antibiotic use. So it's really important to know, particularly if you're a high-risk group, like the very young, very old, or you have a compromised immune system, to talk to your doc about what to do to prevent C. diff infection. You might want to consider a probiotic after talking with your doc. And it's not going to be just any probiotic. You're going to need a probiotic that has actual clinical evidence to support its use in preventing C. diff infection. BioK's got it. In fact, in Canada, it bears a claim approved by Health Canada for the primary prevention. That means the prevention when it's never occurred before of C. diff infection when taken alongside an antibiotic. So in Canada, we have our 50 billion strong, our Antibiofix. And then in the US, you have your Biome Pro, which is a new product. You want to ensure that you're taking your BioK Plus every day that you're taking your antibiotic. You just want to wait 2 hours after one of your antibiotic doses to take your BioK. Continue it for the entire course of your treatment with antibiotics plus 5 days after. You want to talk to your doc about how much to take. In the clinical trials, the dosage we found was 50 billion works, 100 billion works even better. So talk to your doctor or pharmacist about whether or not 1 or 2 capsules of BioK Plus is right for you. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.